Those who hope to avoid a new tax on their paycheck are running out of time.
If you don't have private long-term care insurance by November 1st, you will automatically be enrolled in the Washington Cares Fund. So Fox 13 political reporter Brandy Cruz joins us now. And Brandy, I'm glad we're doing this story because a lot of people might not even know that this is coming, and also there's a lot of confusion over this.
Yeah, a lot of confusion, a lot of questions, and I will say I spoke to the man who is in charge of the state's long-term care program today, and he acknowledges even that, yes, indeed, it is not perfect. So here's what you need to know.
First, let's get caught up on where things stand now. You have until November 1st to opt out of the Washington Cares Fund by purchasing private insurance. That's just a few days away. For those who don't, you'll start paying into the long-term care program starting in January of 2022. It'll cost 58 cents for every $100 you make until you retire. And then, if you need care when you're older, the program would pay out up to $36,500.
We're the first state in the country to add this level of protection for our citizens as we age. And I think that's something that that's a tremendous accomplishment.
Ben Vecti is the fund's director.
So 7 in 10 of us are going to need long-term care as we age. And most of us don't have a way to pay for it. Only about 7% of Washingtonians can afford private long-term care insurance, particularly in retirement on a fixed income. The average premium for private insurance is $2,700 a year.
Keeping up so far? Okay, good. Now here's where things get confusing. Even if you wanted to opt out by purchasing private long-term care insurance, most companies that offer it pulled those plans out of Washington state. Why? Well, they're afraid folks will buy private insurance, then cancel it after opting out of the state plan, thereby skirting the tax for life. Tricky, tricky.
As of yesterday, we had received 227,402 requests for exemptions.
It's led Washington lawmakers to wonder whether the fund will even be financially viable if so many people are trying to avoid paying into it. There are also a few wrinkles in the bill that will need to be ironed out. For example, those just a few years from retirement will start paying into the program, but they won't work long enough to become fully vested in it, meaning the money they did pay into it, poof, they'll never see it again.
So it is possible that someone who is, say, 2 years out from retirement has to pay in, but they're never able to actually collect on the benefit.
That is possible, absolutely.
And what if you live in Oregon or Idaho but work in Washington state? Well, you'll pay the tax your entire working life, but will never be able to cash in on the benefits. Or what if you decide to ditch rainy Washington and retire in the Sunshine State after paying into the long-term care fund for years? Well, too bad. No long-term care funds for you.
You know, Brandy, no law is perfect when it first is enacted. Everything requires fine-tuning. That was true with Social Security in the 1930s. That was true with Medicare in the 1960s. It's true here too. There will be some fine-tuning of this program over the next couple of years.
So at least he's willing to acknowledge sort of the imperfection of all of this. I will say one of the points of frustration that I have heard the most commonly from you guys is that you haven't been able to find a private long-term care insurance plan. And as I stated there, it's because they pulled those out because they were worried they're going to have a bunch of demand. And then people, as soon as they got that opt-out from the tax, they would cancel it. And so for private companies, they're like, well, that doesn't do us much good.
Do you foresee lawmakers trying to make any changes, amendments to this?
Oh, absolutely. And I think you have some things that clearly don't make sense, right? And that shouldn't be political. For instance, if I live in Idaho and I'm crossing into Spokane to work and I've got to pay this tax my entire life and then I can't benefit a nickel from it, that makes no sense. I think that's something that could be fixed. Another issue that clearly doesn't make sense but is harder is if you're going to retire elsewhere. Most of us around this age, I have no clue. Am I going to retire in Washington? Am I going to go to Arizona or something, or somewhere where I can lay on the beach? I don't know yet. And so if you work your whole life, pay into this, and then you decide later in life to retire somewhere else, how, as the state, do you deal with a situation like that to make it more fair? So I think there are some easy fixes, and there are some fixes that are a lot more complicated.
But it is the first state doing something like this, as you mentioned, right?
Correct. And if you have a situation over the years where other states, or perhaps there's a national program like this, then it would be easier to pay into it, retire somewhere else, and then you could still get long-term care insurance if it was a national program. But it's not. It's just here.
All right. Well, Brandy, thank you so much for breaking it down. That was a fun piece. Thank you. All right.